glad to welcome my friend Tali for this keynote. I'm really excited to hear what he will share with us. The road to data ownership and secure communication. Tali and his team is bringing a really unique innovation. Tali, up to you.
Yeah, thanks, Laurent, and really, thanks for the invite. It's great to be here. Let me share my story and explain what led me to this moment in time. So I can say that I have always been a technologist. Back in the year 1997, I built the first digital audio recording studio, which was something very perception changing when everybody was or basically at the time recorded analog. So naturally, there was some resistance. I was not taken seriously. But due to technological advancement offering by digital technology, our studio outperformed every other studio in the region. And over the time, the perception changed. It's a well-known circle that could also reflect in Web3. So I'm quite observant. So I managed to recognize the internet possibilities in the early 2000s using only basic HTML and simple Google SEO. I managed to build and support many of my early ventures. I was introduced to blockchain back in 2016 when I wanted to find a secure, sensitive data exchange solution for enterprise communication. At the time, we were dealing with the private data of 1,200 internal employees, and email or any other data managing service was just not an option. So the deeper I researched blockchain technology, the more potential I saw. Luckily, I made a successful exit from the company at the time, which gave me the opportunity to jumpstart Block Labs and dedicate my full time to on-chain communication R&D. Otherwise, I finished my MBA in 2012, later my doctorate in 2018. I'm also engaged as a guest lecturer on the Kutruli MBA program. I'm a blockchain Adria resident speaker and a UNC Fact blockchain expert. I'm also one of the founders of the Blockchain Recorded podcast, which is now entering basically its fourth season. So this keynote is titled The Road to Data Ownership and Secure Communication. It summarizes the work that my team and I have been doing for the past 5 years and proposes a new Web3 based approach to immutable communication and data ownership retention. So the talk will be quite technical, as there is no simple solution to a complicated problem. So to all less technical folks, I apologize in advance. But let's first focus on the issue at hand. So there's no denying that the current email messaging and data transfer models are broken. Okay, we lose ownership of data the moment we attach it to an email or drop it into any cloud service, as we expose our communication content and metadata the moment we use any free email messaging or data transfer services available today. So it goes without saying, if you are not paying for the product, then sadly, you are the product. So this new normal where users' data is 100% controlled, mined, and exploited by intermediaries is just not viable in the long run. But imagine a reality where email messaging and data file transfers are truly secure, immutable, with a guaranteed uptime. Consider a world when your data is fully under your control and you can selectively share it. Imagine the elimination of risks such as phishing, spoofing, identity theft, and data mining. Envision a life free from the annoyances of junk and spam emails and messages. It may seem difficult to comprehend from our current standpoint, but the potential for this kind of secure communication is worth debating. So, blockchain always offered the promise of enabling secure, immutable wallet-to-wallet communication with uninterrupted uptime while retaining data and identity ownership. It is by design the right tool for the job. However, it could never really take off due to scalability and cost constraints of early generation blockchains. Let's be honest, $50 or more for a message just does not make any sense. I believe that with the rise of new gen blockchains with fast finality and low transaction cost, privacy awareness and coming Web3 mobile and Web3 adoption in general, on-chain email messaging and data file transfer could become the dominant communication and as such can become the future standard. The security and exclusive Web3 features such as immutability, permissionless, decentralization are just too good to be overlooked. So the moment we put communication on-chain, implementations are limitless. The moment we achieve self-custody of our data, the moment we can communicate privately without the danger of cybersecurity attacks, guys, everything changes. So let's talk about the possible solution. So Block Labs spent the last five years developing foundations for Web3's first on-chain communication standard in the form of decentralized digital identity, decentralized email and messaging, decentralized notary, and decentralized storage. The technology utilizes blockchain networks, smart contract protocols, encryption, and decentralized storage to retain data ownership and enable SCRIP, which stands for Security, Censorship Resistance, Immutability, and Privacy, in email, chat, and data file transfer communication. This level of protection is simply non-existing in traditional Web2 applications and up to now almost undiscovered in Web3. So what are we talking about? We are talking about Web3's first on-chain communication technology secured by cryptography, where one email, message, or data file transfer equals in one L1 transaction, and where not your keys equals in not your email, message, or data. So behind the scenes, project SDKs enable any developer to integrate, innovate, build their own use case specific DMail, DChat, data file transfer, or decentralized storage solutions. We are building the protocols and front-end clients in parallel. While the core value lies in the protocols themselves, the front-end clients are showcasing the unique Web3 on-chain communication UI UX features and offering a blueprint of the things to come. This approach took a long time to build, but it gave us the insight into the challenges and frustrations that dev developers face and the problems that need to be solved before production. So the project aimed to design the architecture to be as lightweighted and as modular as possible, while retaining core decentralization primitives. So there are just a few key highlights that I want to point out. So by definition, communication is multi-chain interoperable, censorship resistant, deplatforming resistant, permissionless, immutable, and timestamped. By user's choice, communication is end-to-end encrypted. So decentralized storage is used to store encrypted attachments and big data. In the case of DEP downtime, the open source self-custody client is available. So Wallet acts as your decentralized digital identity, granting access to your emails or messages on all ecosystem SDK run dApps. The only party with access to communication data is the user himself, naturally using private keys. No personal data whatsoever is collected by the protocol. Code is law, principles apply. So the biggest challenge faced was envisioning a platform concept for on-chain communication, as the necessary framework and infrastructure did not yet exist. That was in 2018. In addition to all the main protocol modules, various needed components had to be developed, innovated. To enable early multi-chain interoperability, for example, that was in the late 2020, and to test it, we had to develop a multi-chain wallet. To enable end-to-end encryption, Encryptor extension had to be developed and innovated that adds the encryption layer currently not supported in popular wallets. So we had to innovate the UI UX specific for on-chain communication. We had to innovate the monetization framework, and the list goes on. But to get back to the basics, the core technical challenge was to achieve communication immutability. This solution manifested itself in the form of on-chain communication. Compared to dchat, where all messaging happens 100% on-chain, the dmail is data heavier due to attachment and sizable content. So encrypted JSON files are stored on decentralized storage to hold dmail metadata, while a link pointing to the file along with the file checksum is recorded on-chain in the form of an L1 transaction. So again, the core primitive, one email message equals one L1 transaction applies. So developing the framework for on-chain end-to-end encrypted group messaging was a challenge in itself. It is solved by random generation of the secret key that is used to encrypt decrypt messages. The secret key is distributed to all group members and separately encrypted with advanced encryption standard over the elliptic curve Diffie-Hellman key agreement protocol. So another way to easier understand this new on-chain communication is via technology layers. Essential technology components within the layers were already defined in the Fortech technical paper dating back to 2020. There is a blockchain infrastructure at the bottom, followed by decentralized storage, while two smart contracts are forming, let's say, the core protocol layer. Developed as multi-chain interoperable, the smart contracts support EVM, Substrate, Solana VM, and Tron frameworks, and will hopefully support Cosmos Stack in the near future. So built on top of the protocol stack, the dmail and dchat plug-and-play SDKs stand ready for multi-UI UX use cases and social scaling in the multi-chain universe. So besides using L1 security to enable true communication immutability, the encryption layer provides the final layer of protection. So if we focus on the bottom of the stack, the blockchain networks form the underlying communication highway. Our smart contract protocols harness L1 security to enable the world's first truly immutable on-chain communication. So the key here is to enable projects from any L1 or L2 to natively build communication dApps based on the technology, no matter the native chain. So the plan is to deploy Web3's first on-chain communication standard, available on 20 plus next-gen blockchains, with a focus on fast transaction finality and low transaction cost. It's true that a lot of new gen L1s and L2s are lacking security due to performance compromises, but within 20 plus deployments, there will be more than enough options to choose from. So parallel to the standard deployment, communication-specific L1 is also being conceptualized that will hopefully enable high transaction throughput, easy validator onboarding, low transaction cost, and fast transaction finality. So while also centralized storage can be utilized by the SDK integrators, decentralized storage is the key to secure on-chain communication and data ownership retention. So let's take a minute here to dive into Pollination X. Because there was no out-of-the-box solution available, we had to develop Pollination X, which also acts as an intermediary between decentralized storage users and decentralized storage networks. So to illustrate further, the same as plant spores are distributed from one flower to another, your files are split into thousands of smaller pieces, encrypted and dispersed between various Pollination X nodes, while data reunification is possible only with the user's private key. So furthermore, Pollination X offers a suite of backend protocols and services to enable developers to connect to custom decentralized storage nodes via dedicated service, APIs, NPM, SDK, while utilizing the read and write methods of supported decentralized storage out of the box. So with such a solution, there are a variety of use cases opening. Temporary decentralized storage within big data transfers, decentralized storage used for dmail attachments and media transfers within the dchat UIs, IPFS to Pollination X backups, perfect for NFTs, decentralized website hosting, and more. So Pollination X currently supports IPFS, BTFS, and Filecoin, and will support other decentralized storage networks in the future. So I'm sure that up to now you're all wondering, but how will this work, okay, in regards to block space access? Do we need to pay for every message and every communication transaction? The answer is yes and no. It all depends on the model. As every message or email represents one L1 transaction, this transaction needs gas to be confirmed. But there are models out there already today that are showing alternative approaches. So in order to understand it, let's dive deeper into the technicals. So parallel to the underlying L1 transaction, the protocol service fees are also settled on a smart contract level and are applicable for every communication transaction. We can assume that the total user's cost equals the sum of the L1 transaction cost and the service fee cost. So L1 and L2 transaction gas is currently the biggest cost factor. But use cases are already emerging where transaction gas is being shared with dApps, which could result in lower end users' cost. Tron, for example, already enables users to stake TRX and in return offers free bandwidth with practically gasless transactions. So these kind of approaches could render on-chain communication cost negligible and is something to be considered implementing when building communication-specific L1s. We must be aware that we are still very early and that block space subscription is still evolving. It may look complicated and costly to access your block space now, but it will become more accessible. It's the same as with internet access. We don't think anymore about megabyte cost, we just use it. The same will be with block space. As blockchain will evolve, access will become more organic, easy, and accessible. So statements such as on-chain is the future online would fit here perfectly. So the team consists of highly accomplished group of engineers, researchers, strategists, and builders, all committed to deliver world's first Web3 communication standard with permissionless SDKs, pioneering the future of encrypted, immutable, and decentralized on-chain communication at scale. So the core team has been working together for over 5 years. Brick by brick, we have been developing, innovating the infrastructure and laying the foundations, which was totally non-existing before. We constructed the core protocols and invented the concept one message equals one L1 transaction. We also written numerous research papers, published over 50 articles covering the topic, and so on. So 2018 and 19 proof of concept clarified that data ownership, retention, and communication immutability could be achieved by putting the email or message transactions on the L1 itself. With the 2020 and 21 R&D, the project entered into multi-chain interoperability phase, setting the stage for the multi-chain communication standard. The 2022 to 25 project development will be a joint effort of Block Labs, CR Systems, and Data Valleys, focusing on SDKs, decentralized storage, communication standard deployment, business development, of course, and at the end, the development of communication-specific L1. So we are changing the core concept and perspective of digital communication from custodial to non-custodial, from centralized to decentralized, from permissionless to permissioned, from permissioned to permissionless, and from free but mined to payable but yours. So every change is hard, but this one is needed. It can be a change or it can be a choice. Access to data ownership and secure digital communication should be available to all, with the help of advanced blockchain protocols as an underlying infrastructure. Block Labs leads the way in R&D towards secure digital communication. As secure digital communication is one of the most significant use cases that need to be solved by Web3. Also, other projects are trying to solve it, but more or less with simpler Web 2.5 solutions. Block Labs' one email message equals one L1 transaction approach is unique, but also most challenging to develop. At its core, our protocols prevent identity theft, Web2 data tracking, data mining, while they're impervious to invasive ad campaigns. The metadata created between the user's wallet and the apps is still vulnerable, but with the development of mixed nets such as Hopper, this issue can also be resolved. So the social aspect and technological advancement of on-chain communication opens totally new possibilities. Imagine seamless multi-platform, any chain to any wallet communication. The technology is practically here. What's important now is to offer a reliable backend infrastructure and let the developer community innovate and build the key Genesis dApps with fundamental use cases. So again, we find ourselves swimming against the current, changing the digital communication concept. So it's hard, but let's not forget that we are utilizing blockchain to enable privacy, security, and immutability in digital communication, which is practically non-existing in traditional applications. So let me close with a thought. Electronic communication is too valuable to be entrusted to an intermediary. The time for permissionless, immutable on-chain communication protocols is now. Thank you.
Thanks to you, Tali. You know how excited I am to see Emu3 going live. Can you share with us some insight? When can we expect to make a try and to be the first one to be able to D-mail and D-chat?
Yeah, and data file exchange sharing, basically.
Exactly.
Three use cases, three really basic use cases. Yeah, we work around the clock to be able to, let's say, finish all the main solutions until this conference. So I'm sure that hopefully tomorrow, day after, we'll have a couple of betas open. So yeah, it's very exciting. Working round the clock for now. I think all the team is on marathon. You know, not 42 kilometers, but 400.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm lucky enough to meet the team, to have some brainstorming with you and your team. I was, you know, that I'm particularly excited, and this is the kind of use case that we really need, in my opinion, in our industry, to really be able to talk about mass adoption, because starting few weeks, builders will be able to imagine the next email, the next D-chat built on top of what you are delivering, and to give access to this innovation to each one, everyone, everywhere. And it's really exciting moment. Thanks to you, Tali. It was a pleasure.
Thanks.
Congrats. Let's keep building together, and all Web3 Stronger Together Summit attendees, be ready to get a chance to be a beta user soon. We will let you know when you will have the privilege to get access to this unique innovation. Congrats again, Tali. Congrats to your team. And thanks again for joining this first virtual summit, Web3 Stronger Virtual Summit. It's a real pleasure. It's an honor for me. And see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite. Thank you. Have a great summit. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.